Another area Rajan and I talked about is this whole, a more deep tech. I think last time you and I met, we had a conversation about that. I think you're mentioning in the surge also, you are seeing more and more deep tech.
Yeah.
I think I had an incredible experience, Skyroot, and I feel, it is starting to happen. We talked about IIT Madras. They've done incredible job in supporting it. What's your point of where are we at? Because in InMobi was, in some ways ahead of its time, like really pioneering tech company. But majority of things you've seen in India, which are even skilled, they're very operations heavy companies solving a genuine business problem at CM2 negative, but solving the problem.
But now they're all CM2 positive.
Now,
it's amazing, by the way.
Yeah.
It's all CM2 positive. Right. We just closed an investment for our next cohort. Double-digit crores of revenue. EBITDA positive.
Wow,
now, of course, we don't want them to be positive at seed stage.
Yeah.
So I think on deep tech, what is happening is three things, right? We are seeing India's technical talent, right? I'm not talking going beyond software, beginning to become entrepreneurs, starting to become entrepreneurs, right? So when you go to, I know you're going to IIT Madras. So they have a sensor lab. It's called something else. I think it's called non-invasive something measurement or something. Non-destructive measurement is what it's called. I'll connect you with Dr. Ghosh's partner.
Okay, amazing.
Yeah, the professor. So these three profs in this lab, okay, IIT Madras, they're on their fourth company, right? So they make senses, different kind of senses, okay? So and IIT Madras is a research path, so they go and they incubate the companies. So I think first thing that's happening is whether it's Indian academic talent or scientific talent in India starting up or Indians coming back. So in our last quarter search, we had a company called Nutrace, right? So they'd make green hydrogen electrolyzers. And these are two Indians. They got their PhDs in Europe. They worked there for many years, came back just before COVID. And then they said, we're going to build green hydrogen electrolyzers that don't have membrane. There are only two other companies in the world that do this, okay? Then it took them a couple of years to do it. So I think one is talent, right? Because at the end of the day, everything boils down to talent. So that's one thing that's happening. There's a company here in Bangalore, I don't know whether we are not investors in it, called String Bio. Have you met
I have not met them.
I mean, Ezel is fantastic. I mean, she, PhD, worked in the Bay Area for several, has worked for 2 Nobel laureates, okay? Came back and has launched a climate tech company. They were incubated in CCAP. So I bumped into them in CCAP. Anyway, so that's one is talent. I think the second thing that has happened is there's infrastructure now, right? So last year we invested in 2 semiconductor companies. They're both out of IIT Madras Research Park, Incore and Mindgrove. IIT Madras has a set of infrastructure, right, for semiconductor companies that otherwise would cost a startup tens of millions of dollars.
Got it. So Rajan, do you think for deep tech companies, to be honest, historically, we have not seen many, or people have not tried to build it. Do you think the ecosystem has evolved in some ways now already? Like, are you more optimistic about it? No, can we look ahead to like really genuine original tech coming out of India?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I think, well, firstly, it's early days, right? It's, but it started. I think the movement has started, and there's 3 or 4, there are probably 3 big reasons. One is talent, right? So, for instance, Skyroot. Skyroot wouldn't exist if not for ISRO, right? Because both the co-founders came from Skyroot. We had 2 semiconductor companies we invested in last year, Mindgrove and Incore. They basically exist because IIT Madras has been doing a lot of work on semiconductors for a long time, right? And RISC-V was co-developed with Berkeley and IIT Madras. So I think one is talent, right? So we had a company called Nutrace here in Bangalore. They have green hydrogen electrolyzers without membranes, right? And these are 2 Indians who got their PhDs in Europe, worked there for a while, came back 4 or 5 years ago, start building electrolyzers that don't have membranes. So I think this deeply technical talent now is starting up from India, because they see the opportunity to do that, right? And second, are also coming back. So I had mentioned that, Ezel, the founder of String Bio, if you haven't met her, right? She's got a PhD and worked in the US in the Bay Area, worked for a Nobel laureate, etc. Started a company called String Bio in climate tech. That's one. I think second is, look, today there's a lot of infrastructure and support for these kinds of companies, right? So Mindgrove and Inco wouldn't exist if IIT Madras didn't have the infrastructure required for fabless semiconductor companies, right? Because otherwise they would have to raise tens of millions of dollars as a startup to get access to that infrastructure, right? BIRAC has been instrumental in the biotech in developing the biotech sector in India, right? Because they built all these
Yeah.
labs in a bunch of these cities in Bangalore, for instance. Whereas you can't start a biotech company without this infrastructure. I mean,
Yeah.
you have to go raise millions of dollars, right? So I think that has been very, very, very important. For instance, this new quantum mission that just got announced, right? They've set aside, whatever, a couple of thousand crores to invest in various enablers. So that's number two.
Yeah.
I think the third very important thing is these sectors being opened up, right? If space wasn't privatized, we had one space tech company 10 years ago. Today we have 190, right? Because there are two big drivers, ISRO and deregulation, right? And then of course everything else followed: capital, talent, people, etc. So I think whether it's let's take defense, right? So like right now we are really, really trying to find a defense company that we like, because what has changed is the Indian government said, look, we are going to locally buy defense technology, promotes defense technology. So I think very, very targeted reforms, regulatory reforms are opening up these sectors. So these three things happening, right? One is a talent.
Yeah.
Because without talent, you can't do anything, right? I think the second is just infrastructure, ecosystem. And the third is regulatory changes that enable this to happen, right? Like IdeaForge got made because of a $7 million order that they got.
Yeah.
I think whatever it was, 2015-16 timeframe. So this is all beginning to happen. So I'd say it has started. But I would say, look, we are probably, if you look at the SaaS wave, right? Zoho was 2004, 2005, but really Freshworks, Girish, was 2010, right? So that's sort of when it started. We could argue e-commerce and SaaS both started. E-commerce ramped much faster. But now the first SaaS unicorn, Mukesh, was 6 years ago. Today we have 23. I think we will have 100 SaaS unicorns by the end of the decade, right? Or many of them will be AI companies. I think deep tech is probably, I sort of put it equivalent to where SaaS was in 2010.
Yeah.
So we are probably in that 2010-12 time frame. You're seeing a bunch of early companies that are very, very interesting. But the train has left the station.
At Sparks, we aim to bring to you stories of exponential impact. We share in-depth analysis of what goes behind success stories. If you find our conversations interesting, you can join us by subscribing to our YouTube channel. You can also listen to Sparks on Spotify, Apple Podcast, or any other audio platform of your choice. If you have any suggestions on who we should invite or what topics we need to cover, just let us know in the comments. We are always listening, looking for ways to improve, and keep getting better as we go along.